Yeah, it's after 7. So.
You ready? All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the May edition 2024 of Spiritual Pat. So glad to see you here tonight. Take the time out of your day to come and hear the program tonight. I want to mention a few things. Hopefully you registered your license plate number in the kiosk. If you didn't, you might get a ticket. My suggestion, by the way, is when you do that in the future, you take a photograph of the kiosk that you paid and your license plate is on there, because the Reverend Doctor has been 3 times, ticketed or attempted tickets?
I fought the law and the law won.
Yeah. So he has evidence that he did that, but they don't. Anyway, that's enough of that. There are plates up here for contributions if you so desire. As I mentioned before, it's a free program. But we are down to $1 in our account, and we have some expenses. So any contributions you would be willing to make would be very much appreciated. There's also a sign-up. I know Harry will mention this later, but there's a sign-up sheet here. If you haven't received emails, if you haven't been here before, please put your email on there legibly so that Harry knows where to send the notifications for the programs. Our purpose is to gather together in a setting where challenging and complex current, cultural, and religious faith issues are presented and discussed. We are not here to judge, but rather to create a safe space for significant conversation. Please be respectful of others and the views that they express. There will be a presentation of 45 minutes to an hour, or however long you take. And the remainder of our time will be used for questions and comments. Although we want to encourage good discussion, please don't dominate the conversation to the point where others are unable to share their thoughts. When it comes time, do we have a separate microphone?
No.
This one? Okay. Oh, she did. Okay. When it comes time for the discussion, please raise your hand and the microphone will be brought to you so that everyone can hear your question or comment. And please don't make your comment unless the microphone has been brought to you. We believe if we can hold to this format, everyone will leave here enriched. We'd also like to thank once again the Doubletree Hotel for their generosity in offering this venue for free. It's a great gift for which we are eternally grateful. I've mentioned this. This is the first time she heard it, that this hotel was ranked the #1 Hilton brand hotel in the world. So right here in Reading, Pennsylvania. So we're very grateful. I'd like to introduce to you Reverend Dr. Steve Onsman, who will introduce our guests.
So I will let them introduce themselves. They'll do it far better than I will. I just want to say I'm so glad you're here. When I first came to the area, I was a chaplain at Albright College, and after a couple of years, I was called as pastor of Calvary, United Church of Christ, and one of our very active members, Louise Grimm, who is here in art, who is one of the founding mothers of Berks Women in Crisis, introduced me to the organization. And my story is that this is a very personal issue for me. And so I've been involved with different aspects of their work for a number of years. And we just had a program similar to this at our church, to talk about some of the spiritual issues around domestic violence and what's good and what's not good. And we're hoping that we'll get some good discussion about how some of us who are involved in congregations, can make life better. And so I'm just going to turn it over to our speakers, and they can introduce themselves. And we want to welcome folks from Berks, from State Berks.
I'm Mindy McIntosh. I'm the Director of Development at State Berks. I've been here almost 7 years, and Steve took my thunder. I was going to introduce Louise Grimm. That's one of our founding mothers. So thank you, Steve, for doing that, and thank you, Louise. We started in 1976, so we're almost 50 years old, help. And we don't just serve them while they're in crisis, we serve them now, we can serve them later, serve family members. So anybody who needs our help, any survivors of domestic violence or sexual assault in Berks County.
And my name is Amanda. I'm the prevention specialist, and I have only been at Safe Berks since March, so I'm a newbie. But I'm very excited to be with you guys and just supporting the mission of Safe Berks. So, ready? All right, so a lot of you will typically meet when you go to your church, your congregation, you're meeting in a sanctuary. So, sanctuary is a pretty strong word. What does that word mean to you? And this will take a little bit of class participation. So if you want to yell it out, if you want to raise your hand, I'm fine with either. What does the word sanctuary mean to you?
Safe space.
Safe space.
Peaceful place.
Peaceful place.
Community.
Community.
Free to be me.
Free to be me. Anything else?
Sacred space.
Sacred. Yes. So sanctuary can mean a lot of things to different people. It can mean just a room in a church. It can mean a peaceful place, a safe space, a place that you can be yourself. But many people think of home as a safe place, a sanctuary. But what happens when a sanctuary is not a safe space? For many survivors of domestic violence, home is not a safe place. It's why Safe Berks, Berks County Center that provides services to victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, that's why we work so hard to be a sanctuary for survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault in Berks County. So the question is, what is domestic violence? Domestic violence is a pattern of coercive behavior used by one person to gain power and control over another in an intimate or familial relationship. It includes, but is not limited to, emotional abuse, physical abuse, economic abuse, sexual abuse, and spiritual or religious abuse. It all comes back to power and control by the abuser. Can you think of other terms you have heard it called? Like domestic violence. So, abuse, go ahead.
Well, the one thing I work with considers it
Discipline, okay. So, abuse, battery, intimate partner violence, also known as IPV, dating violence, relationship violence. It's called, a slew of things. Can you think, out of the things that I listed, can you think of any other more types of abuse?
Drug and alcohol.
Drug and alcohol abuse? Okay, so, I mean, it's okay if you guys don't have anything else to add. But there's also financial abuse. 98% of abusive relationships involve financial abuse. Spiritual abuse and or religious abuse. Some abusers will misuse or twist religious ideas and beliefs to gain that power and control or to manipulate their victims to stay. We're going to watch a quick video.
Power and manipulation. It led to him controlling me in all kinds of ways. It started off as the way that I dressed.
Jasmine Smith says her abuser would use religion and scripture to control her.
You're abusing your power. You're abusing knowledge. You're abusing the words in the religious text. And you're manipulating those words to work in your favor to justify this behavior.
And says at first she'd adhere to the requests.
I could wear my natural hair. I could wear less makeup. It started off with that. Over the years, and we're talking almost 5 years that I was in that relationship, over the years, the restrictions got worse and worse.
She says she yearned to be part of a religious community.
I was struggling with my individuality. I was struggling with who I was and wanting to be deeply connected to something.
Nisha Hunt is the founder of the Grow Foundation, a group that works to help domestic violence survivors.
We know abuse is about power and control. And if I can use your faith against you, if I can use your religion against you, your belief to control whether or not you leave or stay in this relationship, then that's a form of religious abuse.
She says religion can play a huge role in why victims stay in the relationships.
Pull up certain biblical text or religious text and use that scripture to control you or to manipulate the situation and to fit their agenda. And it's really heartbreaking because I can't tell you how many women I've spoken to and they're like, I'm a Christian, I can't, I'm supposed to stay. I'm just gonna pray about it.
Experts with the National Domestic Violence Hotline say spiritual abuse can happen in any religion or denomination. They say it can be very difficult to identify because many victims may not recognize that they're being abused. They say signs of abuse include ridiculing or insulting the other person's religion, preventing the other partner from practicing beliefs, using their partner's religious or spiritual beliefs to manipulate or shame them, or using religious texts or beliefs to minimize or rationalize abusive behavior.
Abuse is not love. Abuse is not what the vows meant when we say till death do you part.
For Jasmine, she says it took a while to understand what was going on.
Reading through the facts of religious and spiritual abuse, I remember sitting in that classroom and crying, and I didn't even realize that I was crying in front of everyone.
She and other advocates like Nisha want more people to be aware of spiritual abuse.
It's all about education and awareness, and I think when we know better, we do better. So I think it's very important for churches to have these conversations, to have survivors come in, to have people who specialize in domestic violence and advocacy and awareness to educate their congregation about what domestic violence looks like.
Abuse that comes in different forms and ways to get help when you need it. Margaret Kavanaugh, News 3.
And as a reminder, you can see the first two parts of Margaret's investigation right now on WTKR.com. There you will also find resources and help for anyone who might be experiencing domestic abuse.
So, just like we saw in the video, domestic violence is not for just this person or just that person. It can affect everyone. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men experience severe physical violence from an intimate partner in their lifetimes. Domestic violence and intimate partner violence can happen to anyone, regardless of age, race, ethnicity, class, gender, sexual orientation, or religion.
And we say everybody knows someone. If you don't think you know somebody, someone that is a victim of domestic violence or sexual assault is because they didn't tell you or they didn't share it with you. But it is such a horrible thing. It is so rancid everywhere that everybody does know somebody.
And so there's some groups that are considered to be more at risk for domestic violence. Nearly 50% of LGBTQ plus individuals will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. The other statistics that I like to say is you'll notice that it says 1 in 4 men, and then that's like a larger gap between them for the women. And I would like to think that that's probably because, like Mindy said, there's like a stigma around men being abused in whatever way, and so men will most likely underreport their domestic abuse, and their statistic would be higher if men came forward and would share their stories.
So we have men living in our shelter. Men can be living in the shelter with or without their children. And we've had 3 or 4 men at a time. So we have, as of this morning, it was 31 adults and 26 kids living in our safe house. And some of them are men. And we have babies from leaving the hospital to coming to us to teenagers. So there's a whole age range of everybody. We have senior citizens, so it definitely does not discriminate.
So, like Mindy said, everyone knows someone. So we don't keep statistics in Berks County due to confidentiality, but you'll see the statistics that are on the left. 10 million people per per year in the U.S. There's been 3,030 victims were served in a single day in Pennsylvania in 2022. 1 in 6 homicide victims are killed by an intimate partner. In Pennsylvania, 101 victims died from domestic violence incidences in 2022, and 55 of those are by a current or former partner. 5 of those homicide victims were in Berks County from those numbers. Can you guys think of any signs or red flags of abuse in a relationship? And again, calling you out, raising your hand, go ahead.
Withdrawal of the victim from life in general.
Yep, withdrawing the victim from like life things.
Bruise signs of bruises or
Yep. Physical
injuries.
Yep, physical injuries that you can see on their body. What other red flags or signs that you might think, that you might see or hear, or that someone would be being abused?
Children of people who have been victims of domestic violence, not going to school, being kept at home, not being allowed to interact with their other friends.
Yep, so he had said children not going to school, being made to like stay home, not being able to interact with their peers.
That was definitely one of the issues during COVID when people were not going to school and the guidance counselors and the school psychologists and the teachers couldn't see what was going on and see bruises and see the withdrawal. So it maybe wasn't happening more than it normally happens because it happens all the time, but we weren't catching it as much. The schools weren't catching it as much. They weren't being referred to us as much.
Yeah, during that time I had worked closely with children and youth, and there was definitely a dip in reports because a lot of those are caught by the school teachers, guidance counselors, like Mindy said. So, any other red flags or signs of abuse?
I notice victims of abuse, they're usually low self-confidence. There's no self-confidence. There's a lot of blame and shame. So they present as, they appear as withdrawn. Usually the head's hung low, shoulders are slumped. Like it's almost like they've just been drained.
Yeah.
They get very withdrawn.
Yep. So she had said withdrawn, the body language of like being slumped and like very like inward. That's good. So one more.
People who are abused usually stop associating with their friends. They're not allowed to go out with friends. They're not allowed to maintain social relationships with other people in their partner
Yeah.
who is jealous or whatever.
Yeah, being withdrawn from friends and even family, jealousy from the abuser, or maybe even fear of them saying something. So that's a good one.
Some of this warning signs. So you guys did go over some of it, but we'll just go over a little bit more. So someone that seems too good to be true early in a relationship, the relationship may advance very quickly. Somebody who, like, he loves me so much, he doesn't want me to, like as Louise said, doesn't want me to see my friends, he wants me all to himself, that type of thing. Intimidating you through threatening looks or actions. A lot of times, you just have to look over there and you can just see that look that's happening to you. Insulting, demeaning, or shaming you, especially in front of other people. I think we've all experienced somebody going through that. Frequent phone calls or texts. They want to know what you're doing all the time. Who are you with? Who are you talking to? Where are you? Threatens to harm or kill you or your pets or your family members. Now, pets is a very big thing. I think we'll talk a little bit more about that again, but a lot of times people don't want to leave a situation because they're afraid that the abuser might hurt the pets to get to them. And we have had that happen, and we've even had animals unfortunately murdered by the abuser just to get back to the back at the person. Blames you for the abusive behavior, does not take responsibility for actions. It is never your fault. Nobody deserves to be abused, no matter what happens, no matter what they say. If you had too much to drink, if you stayed out a little bit too late, whatever it is, you do not deserve to be abused. Nobody deserves to be abused. Showing jealousy of your friends or time spent away from them. Again, they want to keep you to themselves because they want to control you. They want to know what you're doing, what you're thinking, who you're talking to. prevents you from spending time with friends and family, from enjoying hobbies and other activities. And then, as Amanda said about finances, controlling finances in the household, including taking your money or refusing to provide money for necessary expenses. Sometimes people can't leave or don't leave in a situation because they don't have money, they don't have a job, or somebody always controls the checkbook and they don't know how they're going to live, they don't know how they're going to pay their bills, how they're going to afford daycare, rent, any of that stuff, because they've never been able to pay for stuff themselves. It's always been handled for them. And then identifying abuse towards others, so their partner puts them down in front of other people. Again, we talked a little bit about this, and I think if you think about some of your friends, family, people you know, I'm sure you've seen a lot of this. They're constantly worried about making their partner angry. Sometimes they'll say, please, if he comes, don't mention this, or don't talk about that, or we'll talk about this later when he or she is not around. They make excuses for their partner's behavior. They might say, oh, he was hungry, or tired, or got home late. And I'm saying he, it could be he or she, so it could be either the partner is extremely jealous or possessive. They have unexplained marks or injuries. That happens a lot. People say, oh, I fell down the steps, or I sprained my arm some other way, and there's just bruises and there's different stuff going on, and you're like, this can't constantly be happening. They stop spending time with their friends and family. Sometimes it's just easier to not upset this person and start a whole fight again, so they just give in and they just do what this person wants them to. And as we also talked about, they're depressed, they're anxious, and you notice changes in their personality.
So, Mindy is going to hand out the domestic violence power wheel, and you'll see that in the center it says power and control. So that is always what an abuser wants, is he wants the power, or she wants the power and control. And you'll see that there are spokes, and they all come back to that power and control. So these are for you to keep if you would like. If not, you can leave them on the tables. And I'm just going to read the bolded pieces. But it says, using coercion and threats, using intimidation, using emotional abuse, using isolation, denying, minimizing, and blaming, using children, using privilege, and using economic abuse. So, like I said, all of those things bring the abuser back to power and control, which is right at the center. And all of these are a tactic that an abuser can use to gain and maintain that power and control. So there's a cycle of abuse. As we stated before, it can be, or it typically is a pattern. When we know what the pattern is to look for, it's easier to see it. The cycle starts with the honeymoon phase. I'm sure we've all heard of that. At the beginning, these relationships, they can start fast and they can seem too good to be true. Eventually, all honeymoons come to an end, and we start to see the tension rise. This is where the victim will start, quote, walking on eggshells. They'll try to do anything in their power to, please the abuser and keep them calm. Usually, despite all efforts, eventually there will be an incident. This incident can be physical, emotional, or verbally abusive. Then we go to stage 3, which is reconciliation. In this stage, the abuser apologizes, I'm so sorry, I'm going to change. They make promises to change. They make excuses for the abuse. If you wouldn't have made me so jealous, I wouldn't have done this. Or minimizes the abuse, trying to convince the victim it wasn't as bad as they are, and they're over-exaggerating what had happened. A common question people ask is, why don't they just leave? You're getting abused. Why don't they just leave? Why do you think people say?
Economic.
What's that?
Economic reasons.
Economic reasons. Children.
Fear.
Fear. Fear of what?
Death.
Fear of death.
They don't know any better. They think they're in love.
Yeah, they don't know any better. Maybe it's like what they're used to. They're in love.
They have no place to go, no support.
Yep, nowhere to go, no support.
Afraid of how it's going to look.
How's it gonna look? Yep. Anything else? Why would someone stay in an abusive relationship? Those were all really great answers. Was that a hand, Harry? No? All right. So, there can be barriers to support. So these are what we just talked about. Fear of retaliation, lack of financial support or means, child care concerns, lack of natural supports, stigma, cultural, religious, traditional, hope that the person is going to change, love, and safety concerns. Some other barriers are immigration status, scared of being outed if they're a part of the LGBTQ plus community, and there's even more reasons why somebody would stay in an abusive relationship. Statistically, when a victim of domestic violence is trying to leave, it is the most dangerous time for them. Within the first 2 weeks of them leaving or attempting to leave, they are at the highest risk of being killed by their abuser. Why do you think that is?
Anger, control again.
Anger and control, yeah. So the abuser can escalate because they feel like they are losing their control over their victim. And so that's why that first 2 weeks is critical, because that's when the abuser really becomes escalated or could become escalated over their victim. So religion can be a roadblock, and it can also be a resource, which is what we're going to talk about in a minute. Roadblocks or barriers are factors that contribute to the I cannot say this word. Someone say it for me. Yep, thank you very much. Of violence and compromise the safety of survivors and their children. So, in religion, people can misuse sacred texts or teachings to justify, minimize, or excuse intimate partner violence. They can fail to understand that violence in a relationship or marriage breaks any covenantal bonds, prioritize forgiveness and restoration over the safety of the survivor, and perpetuate silence and shame. We're going to watch a quick video of somebody's story.
My parents were thrilled because I finally found
Can you guys hear it?
So I felt like I had finally done what my family had hoped.
Okay. The other video is a little bit louder.
My parents were thrilled because I finally found a nice Jewish family. So I felt like I had finally done what my family had hoped for, and that I could be part of this Jewish family, which consisted of husbands and wives and children.
With the myths about the perfect Jewish family as being the harmonious place of happiness and shelter, it sometimes does a disservice. It works against us in families in which there's domestic violence because people are afraid to come forward.
Fear, walking on eggshells, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But I did not have Jewish battered woman in my vocabulary.
Shalom Bayit, peace in the home, is an ideal in which the husband and the wife, the mother and the father and the children are all working in sync and in harmony together.
Having first married very, very young, and then marrying again, my idea about marriage was that you could make anything work if you were willing to compromise.
Unfortunately, sometimes it can be misused. A woman can be sent back to her home and told that she's the one who is solely responsible for the shalom bayit. That if her husband is battering her, it must be her fault for some reason. And if the children are unhappy or unsuccessful, it must be her fault for some reason. And unfortunately, this is a terrible stereotype, it's a terrible bias, and it's something that we have to learn to undo. We have to retrain ourselves to understand that shalom bayit is everyone's responsibility.
I remember one time when my husband came home and he had, it wasn't a written list, but he had a list. He said, have you done this and have you done that? And yes, we had. And did Jason get his homework done? And was the dog fed? And he was looking for a reason. And we kept saying yes, 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 yes. And then finally he said, well, Jason, do you have a handkerchief in your pocket? This is at 10 o'clock at night. And Jason said, well, he says, turn around, let me see, do you have a handkerchief in your pocket? And Jason didn't have a handkerchief in his pocket. And he got thrown downstairs. And there was screaming and yelling, and he said to me, you should have been in control if you would run this household the way it was supposed to. You let him get away with murder, and I was, shoved, and it was just a whole thing.
So you can see in that video that this woman specifically felt at that point that religion was being a roadblock in her. Religion was being a roadblock when trying to potentially leave that abusive relationship. She was accepting it because it's like what she's always wanted in terms of like being in a marriage, and didn't want to like bring shame to her family, etc. We're going to see the second part of her story in a minute. So Mindy handed out the spiritual abuse power wheel, and if you look at that, you will see, again, just like the other wheel that we got, there's a bunch of spokes, and there's words in the center, and it says spiritual and religious abuse. And I have to find it on my sheet. I'm actually going to grab it over here. And there are bolded words. And it says, these are things that people can do within religion that would be spiritual abuse or would be a roadblock for people. Asserting authority, so like using scripture, traditions, or things onto someone else. Prolonging abusive relationships, isolation, using community coercion, blaming the victim, restricting access or use of healthcare, using children, controlling sexuality and reproduction. So these are all different ways that an abuser can use on a victim. But on the other hand, religion can also be a resource. Resources are the sacred texts, teachings, or structures of a faith that support ending violence, encouraging survivors in seeking safety and healing, empower survivors, recognizing a relationship marriage is based on mutuality and trust where violence has no place, and seek accountability for those who harm others.
From a social standpoint, being a Jewish woman, having gone to a Jewish crisis center, held at a temple with a Jewish woman who was a volunteer who had been trained to listen to me and hear more than I was saying, and have that Jewish woman make it safe for me to acknowledge that I was battered, probably saved my life.
So this woman was then able to use religion as a resource. She had a woman in her community who was most likely advocate trained, and she was able to go to and was able to share her experiences and get the help that she needed. If you turn the wheel to the other side, the spiritual wheel, there is a religious community response. And in each of the spokes, it will say these are ways that we can help to counteract and prevent domestic violence. You can create a safe haven, teach through life cycle events, educate your community, work as a team, get training, use your prophetic voice, support your children, and develop protocols to help domestic violence victims.
So what survivors may need from their faith communities, but also from their friends and family, we're going to kind of do it together. But to be heard and believed. If somebody is sharing something with you, believe them. Most times, it takes a lot for somebody to actually share. So if they're willing to share, they're brave enough, just believe what they say. Sometimes people are like, are you sure? Maybe it didn't hurt you that bad, or, don't ever do that. If they tell you that something happens to them, please believe them. Encourage and support for the road ahead. Always you can give them information about Safe Berks. We have a 24-hour hotline, text line. They can come to our door. Somebody's always there to talk to them. A lot of times people are not comfortable, which is totally fine because you don't know all the situation. But please, you could call them. You could call with them. Give them our phone number, but let them know that we are here and just encourage them to get the help. Comfort and prayer. Prayer can always help anything. So please just with that. Referral to advocates for safety planning and services. In addition to our hotline, we have people there that can do safety planning. Like if you're calling at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not sure what to do, our counselors can help you and they can give you some advice, they can give you some ideas. And also when people are with us and they go back home, which a lot of times they do, they say it takes about 7 times for somebody to permanently leave a situation, we do safety planning with them before they leave. So we don't always think it's the smartest thing to go back, but we can never tell anybody not to go back. It is their body, it's their mind, it's their person, they can do whatever they want. But we might do safety planning and say, leave some money with a friend, or get a phone number, or get like a untraceable cell phone, or give somebody else some information. But we can do some safety planning just to kind of prep them. Confidentiality, everything we do is 100% confidential. If anybody from here calls, we would never know. If a police officer brings somebody in the middle of the night and comes back an hour later and wants to talk to them, we cannot confirm that they're there. No matter what, any family members, police, unless somebody is a threat to themselves or others, that's the only time we really want to give any information out. But it is totally confidential, anybody who's using our services.
And that's the same thing for you who are in a faith community. If someone comes to you and shares something that's going on, you don't want to go and be like gossiping to the rest of the congregation, all these things that you know, or something that so-and-so told you. You always want to make sure you are speaking with that person. You never want to run off and tell their secret to somebody, even if it's Safe Berks. You should always have the permission of that person to, try to get help, but make sure that you as well are not running around saying things about that person.
And sound interpretations of religious texts and serve to support and encourage. Another thing that I will say, it goes with some of what we were saying, is if somebody's telling you that they're going back to their abuser, a lot of times we hear somebody say, oh, if I go back one more time, my sister won't ever talk to me, or my mother won't let me back in the house, or whatever it is. And we always say, please don't do that. They are going through whatever they're going through, they're having a hard time, and they need the support of loved ones, of friends, and family. So even though it's hard for you, I can understand, you're like, I don't support you going back, but please love them, support them, and be there for them, and say, no matter what, I'm still here for you. Because if they also lose their friend and their family or any of that, and the abuser, imagine how they're feeling then. So as hard as it is to understand, please just love them and support them. So encouraging responses, and again, they could be faith or friends and family. An answer could be, I'm so sorry this happened to you. You are very sorry it happened to you. You can't change it, but you could just empathize with them and just know that you are here for them. I believe you. Whatever it is, you deserve to be treated with respect. Nobody deserves to be abused, no matter what situation. We did talk about that. It doesn't matter what you did, you do not deserve to be abused. I'm afraid for you. Let's focus on your safety. A lot of times that is the case. You could say, listen, I'm afraid if you go back, but let's talk about some ideas. And you can do some safety planning yourself, or get some code words, or check in on them, or have a neighbor check in on them so you kind of know that they're around and okay. I know a good advocate who can help. Would you like me to call them with you or give their contact information? Again, our 24-hour hotline, text line. There's always somebody there that speaks English, always somebody there that speaks Spanish, and we have access to all different languages on our language line. And it is not your fault. These are always good answers to say to your loved ones or people that you are supporting that have been in these situations.
So, if you know somebody that's going through this, who could you call with this person that teaching, but Safe Berks is a domestic violence and sexual assault center for Berks County. Our mission is to provide a safe haven and support for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault through education, advocacy, and a relentless commitment to prevent abuse. We are dedicated to fostering an inclusive environment where individuals can be their true selves and feel empowered to stand up to all forms of oppression. All of our survivor support services are provided free of charge, strictly confidential, and are available in all languages. So, like Mindy had talked about, we have a hotline and crisis service. They are 24/7, 365 days a year, and they are available in all languages. If you're not if you don't speak English or Spanish, we have translation services that we use so that we can help any person who is a victim.
I bought some hotline cards. If anybody wants any hotline cards to have at your church, to have in an office, to have somewhere, we have that. Another thing, this might be a good time to talk about, is we call these bathroom posters. And the reason they're called bathroom posters is the bathroom is the only place people truly are alone. So it's just a poster that talks about Safe Berks services. There's a tear off and there's a QR code. So if we were just to have this in a waiting room somewhere, nobody's going to go over and say, "Oh, I need to get that. I need help." But if you have it in the back of an individual bathroom stall, you should be alone there. I mean, we would hope that would be the only place you are alone that you can call. And maybe you might not call the first time. Maybe every time you go into use that restroom, you'll see it, and eventually maybe it'll kick in for you to call. But we are here, so we have these things. If you have a place of business, if your church bathroom, male and female bathrooms, and not just one per bathroom, one per stall. We have some with us. We could get you more, but if you have, again, a place of business, your church, anywhere that you think we could put these, please let us know. This definitely helps get the word out.
So anyone can call or text. Sometimes it's not safe to call, so people can text. We have a rapid response advocate. They're located at the Berks County Courthouse from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. daily. And we have an on-site responsive advocacy 24/7, 365 at all healthcare facilities. Do you want to say anything about that?
So we have somebody who is stationed at Penn State Health St. Joseph, at Tower Health, and also at Berks Community Health Center. So if a patient comes and talks to their doctor, either just shows signs of domestic violence or discloses, they will call our advocate. If our advocate is not already there, which a lot of times they're there during the day, somebody will come and they will talk to the patient. We will just let them know about our services being available. They don't have to use our services, but we want them to know that we are here. And 24 hours a day, there's always somebody that does that. So, and also we make sure that the patient is, especially like in the emergency room, they are alone when our advocate comes in there. The nurse or the doctor or some of the staff will make sure that they are in there alone when we're in there, because obviously they won't talk about abuse in front of their abuser. And a lot of times they're there with them, making sure that they don't speak. So we try to get the abuser out of the room, or anybody out of the room, even if it's a mother or sister, because you never know who the abuser might be. And then we will let them know about our services there.
Mindy,
Yes.
are these people volunteers that are the advocates, or are they just
Staff. So we used to have volunteers that did this. Now it is staff. We do have some volunteers, and we'll talk about volunteer training a little bit, but it's kind of hard to get volunteers to commit. We need somebody to be on call 24 hours a day. So we have had volunteers that have been like Monday nights, available or whatever it is, but it's kind of hard to commit to that. So we do have staff.
Good question. Thank you. As Mindy spoke about, we have residential services. We have our shelter, a temporary emergency shelter for survivors of domestic or sexual violence and their children. Our shelter is secure and it's staffed 24/7, 365. Safety and goal planning, case management, housing advocacy, community resources and referrals, and children's activities. So those are all the things, not all the things, or some of the things that we provide in our shelter. And as Mindy spoke about earlier, we also have pet resources. So one of the big reasons why people don't want to leave their abuser is because they don't want to leave their pet at home. If I leave, unfortunately at this time we don't have pets allowed in our shelter. Maybe someday that's the goal. But we do have pet resources. So assistance with coordinating potential emergency boarding and or foster home care for survivors' pets. Also pet food supplies and veterinary care. We partner with local places to help provide that to the victims.
If somebody has a therapy dog, if they're like a licensed dog animal, then they can be with us because of insurance purposes. But if they're not, like have paperwork to go with it. We are in the process of renovating our building. We're adding 6 additional bedrooms because we are always at or over capacity. The construction should be done probably in another week or so. Of those 6 bedrooms, 3 of them are to be pet friendly, which means there's going to be a different access, a different door that if people have pets, they can come and go. We will have flooring that's a little bit more sturdy and the walls will be a little bit different. So that's not officially happening yet, but our staff needs to be trained. But we've been working with some organizations that are helping us to become pet friendly, and we're hoping in the near future to at least have 3 bedrooms that are pet friendly.
How extensive is the psychological services that you provide?
Also, we have counselors that do individual and group counseling. We have our director of counselor does psychosocial, I don't know that whole words, yeah. So she does a lot of that. We work with the doctor's offices and stuff. She'll do a lot of that. So I guess it depends if it's stuff that she can help or we might have to refer, depending. But we do have counselors, case managers that are trained to work with survivors in different situations and help them to help patients.
Is there financial aid that's provided for this?
Anybody who's with us, everything we do is totally free of charge. Does not cost any money to live in our shelter, does not cost money to use our case management counselors. We have, I guess she'll probably talk about legal services in a minute, so I'm kind of jumping the gun probably, but we have a lawyer who represents people free of charge in the PFA, Protection for Abuse hearing. So everything we do is 100% free. We don't charge survivors at all. We are very heavily grant funded. About 80% of our budget is very restrictive grant funding. It's only for shelter, or only for legal services, or only for sexual assault survivors, or only domestic violence, whatever it might be. There's so many different things that are involved that our staff that are direct service have to kind of keep track of hours and how many clients and all that, because we have to do all this paperwork for the grant. So my job as the director of development is to do fundraising that is non-restrictive, so we can use it for whatever we need. So everything we do is free of charge, and it is very restrictive, our funding that we get for that.
So as Mindy has said, we have legal services, accompaniment, gosh, my mouth is not working. That word, and assistance with protection from abuse or sexual violence protection orders. They're also known as PFAs or SVPOs. We help with police interviews, court hearings related to the abuse. Attorney representation at the final PFA or SVPO hearings. And if a victim needs other services like immigration, custody, divorce matters, we have referrals that we can give to the victim.
We also have a lawyer that comes once a month, at least right now, because does different immigration. So like whatever day it is, we will let our clients know, and if they can talk to this lawyer free of charge when they are doing like a workshop for our clients at Safeworks.
We have counseling services, as Mindy had said, in-person or virtual trauma-informed empowerment counseling for survivors and their supportive family or friends. Also, our services are not just for the people who are staying in our shelter, but if somebody were to come and were to say, this is happening, I don't want to leave home, but I need these services, or I'm going to stay at my sister's house, but I need these services, they can be for those victims as well. Domestic violence and sexual assault support groups for adults and youth, and financial empowerment counseling focused on economic and housing goals, assistance in recovery from financial abuse, and building programming for all ages, primary prevention programming for Berks County school districts. So we do a 6-week curriculum where we're in Berks County schools and we teach healthy relationships, essentially. How do you notice the signs? How do I prevent sexual assault or domestic violence? So we like to teach early and educate early. We have Camp Safe Berks, which we'll talk about later, and Camp Safe Berks Junior for youth, ages 10 through 17. It says 18, but it's 17. We have advocate training for volunteers, another thing we'll talk about in a little bit. We have on-site response and advocacy at local colleges and community partner sites. One of my friends at work, Maddie, she is at a lot of local colleges, and she has hours that she's on the campus, and if somebody on the campus is going through something or needs assistance, they can go to her office. The school can refer the student to our campus advocate, and those services are able to be used by college students.
And then in addition to colleges where it says partner sites, our first partner site was Friend Inc. in Kutztown. We have people at the LGBT Center, an advocate at the LGBT Center, Salvation Army in Hamburg, Easy Does It. There's probably at least a dozen community partner groups that we have an advocate stationed there at certain hours, that if they're already going to Friend Inc. to get food, or they're going to the LGBT Center for support group, they can talk to our advocate. And then a lot of times we also have somebody at rescue. We'll do groups there as well. So anybody who's already there and wants to talk to our advocate, we can do a group as well.
We also have specialized educational programming, including the lethality assessment program, also known as LAP, for law enforcement.
Can I ask a question about the education? Are you going in all school districts? Have you been able to go to all of the school districts in Berks County?
So I've only been here since March, but I don't think we've been in all school districts. I think that some of the stuff, like talking about some of that stuff, can be very tender for schools as well as parents of children. So we always give a proposition to the schools and say, like, this is our curriculum that we're going to be teaching. And sometimes the schools will give pushback and say maybe they don't want us in the school at all, or we might have to take certain things out of our curriculum, but I know that our goal is to be in all Berks County schools.
So how many schools are you, do you have any clue how many school districts are?
I have no clue. I'm sorry.
At least I know we were in Antietam.
We were just in Exeter.
Junior high. Yeah, so there's probably at least 4 or 5, and every single Reading School District middle school we've worked in.
Yeah,
so we have like a contract that every middle school student in Reading has gone through, our program. So how we can help. So this is all different ways to get involved. There's indirect and direct volunteer opportunities. Why don't we just go on to the next one?
Yes, whatever you say.
So she'll go over the training, but we do have indirect and direct volunteers. So if there's something that you want to volunteer that does not involve direct contact, you do not need training. If you want to work with clients on a more regular basis, Amanda can talk a little bit about the training and how it works. How's that?
Yep, so we have advocate training. Laura, who I am Laura tonight, she's supposed to be here, but her daughter was graduating. Laura is our training specialist, and she holds advocate training twice a year. Currently, as you can see, this flyer is for the one that she's currently teaching. It's virtual for the spring sessions, and it's Mondays and Wednesdays, 5 to 8 p.m. And then our next advocate training will be in the fall, and that will be in person. If you would like more information, her email is up there. It is a pretty intensive training, as you can see, lots of hours and lots of days, but it's just so monumental, the things that you learn and how you can help. So if you want to have that volunteer directly with clients, then advocate training is required.
And that can involve math, so that can involve going to the hospitals and doing the calls for that. We have a receptionist who works Monday to Friday, 8 to 4:30. If she's on, we somebody to help cover the phone, so, have clients sign in for counseling, answer the door, so that would be somebody who's trained. If somebody wants to work with our kids, we've had somebody come in the fall and do like weekly activities with the kids, so if you want to do some kind of weekly group, or you want to do any kind of special activity on a regular basis with our children, if you are into like legal services and you want to go to the courthouse and help people file protection for abuse orders, all based on your availability, your interest, once you have the training. This is the same exact training all of our staff need to get, so all of our staff and any volunteers who work directly with clients get this training.
So my next favorite part is Camp Safe Berks. So Camp Safe Berks and Camp Safe Berks Junior are free social justice camps that we put on for youth. As you can see, junior is ages 10 to 13, and traditional camp is ages 13 to 17. Everything is totally free, from transportation to the meals to the activities that we do. We have them from 8:30 to 3:30, and every day is a different theme. You can see healthy relationships, cultural diversity, social justice, empathy, etc. So I'm very excited for camp. It's coming up quickly in July. If you know anyone between these ages that you feel like would benefit from these social justice camps, definitely take a picture of this. Free, yeah. Or reach out to me or to Safe Berks. But we would love to have any student between the ages of 10 and 17 at either of these camps.
And we provide transportation, we provide meals, everything. So it is totally free camp. We try to kind of get a diversity, so different school districts would be nice, different areas of Berks County. And then in addition to going to camp, day camp for a week, they do camp meetups, and if you want to talk about maybe some of those.
Yeah, so we have camp meetups after camp, where we ask the students if they would like to come back after camp. I believe it's like monthly or quarterly, and we get together. We usually have a topic or a theme that we talk about, and we're just able to like continue those relationships with one another, and the students feel like they have someone in their corner, not just with us as Safe Berks staff, but also the other students they've met at camp. It's not just like, hey, I saw you for a week, goodbye, but being able to build those relationships. And then at the next camp, campers are able to be what we call junior counselors. So it's kind of like a step down from a staff in a way, but they're able to take more of a leadership role at camp, and they can say like, I want to lead a lesson on this, or I want to help more with this activity. And so that gives those campers that opportunity to do that. It's hosted at Albernia University this year. In the past, it's been at Penn State Berks. It's been at Albright. So we're able to use Albernia University this year for Camp State Berks. And if a child is 13, the reason 13 is on both flyers is because we give that option to parents or grandparents to say, my child is 13, but they would do better with the younger crowd, or my child's 13 and they might do better with the older crowd.
Do they do both?
That's a great question, but I don't know. And it is limited currently to 25 students per camp. So it's like at this time, first come, first served basis. And our registration's online through the QR code.
So we have our Walk for No More coming up. It is in just about a little less than 3 weeks. Saturday, June 15th is always Father's Day weekend. It's the morning of Art on the Avenue in West Reading. This is going to be the second year we're at the Sly Fox Complex. We gather there. We're going to give awards out to BCTV and YMSA Restaurant and Bakery. And then we will carry signs like these: love shouldn't hurt, you are loved, no more domestic violence, more peace, more love. And we carry them from Sly Fox down Penn Avenue as they're setting up for Art on the Avenue, which starts at 11 o'clock that morning. And there's usually a few hundred of us. We wear all the same shirts. Last year it was like a salmon color. This year it's going to be blue. And everybody who registers gets a free shirt. You're guaranteed a shirt if you register by June 1st. And then after that, we're giving them out as we have, I think, are available that day, we'd encourage you to come, to get a team. I know Steve's church has a team together, maybe some other people here have teams, but it does not cost anything. Of course, we're trying to raise some funds, at least to help us get some of our costs back of renting Sly Fox and all of that. But it is more a community awareness event. We want people to know we will not tolerate domestic violence, we will not tolerate sexual assault. When you see hundreds of people walking down with signs and chanting and all that, it gets attention, and that's what we want. We want attention. We want people to know we're not going to tolerate this. So if anybody here is in town, June 15th, you want to join us, I do have some flyers here. You can go online and list all the teams. So, if you're a member of Steve's church or any church wants to start one, or you want to just join a team that you already see, you can do that. And it is from 9 to 10:30, 10:45-ish that morning. So by 11 o'clock, you're all done. We're a 6-block walk, 5 or 6 blocks from Sly Fox to the 400 block of Penn Avenue in West Reading, kind of right around G&A is where we stop. Silent witness, so you might have seen we have these red life-size silhouettes. Unfortunately, they represent people who have been murdered from domestic violence homicide. This is something we started doing in 1999. We have 85 people who have been murdered from domestic violence since 1999. The year before, we had 80. We had 5 more last year, so we had 85. We do this every year in October. We just decided last year that we're going to start doing it on Columbus Day, because then we'll know when it is every year. It's Columbus Day. We get together at Safe Berks. We carry these silhouettes. They have a shield on them that represent somebody who's been murdered. It tells a little bit about their story, their name, their age, the date, sentence or two about them, because we don't want them to be forgotten. A lot of times family members come, they might make their own shirts. They carry these. We walk through town up Franklin Street to 6th, down Penn Street, and we end at RAC. RAC hosts us. We put all the silhouettes out on display. We read all the family members' names. We have a family member talk usually, and then we have lunch. So it is definitely an awareness event. It is something that if you ever go to it, you have a very heaviness in your chest when you leave there, because it was horrible. You hear horrible things. You see all these names, and there's even pets involved. There's pregnant people. There's somebody in a wheelchair. There's men. There's women. There's children. There's babies, cats, dogs. You name it. These are all have been murdered from domestic violence. We started keeping track in 1999. Last year we dedicated a purple silhouette, which is for like the unknown or the uncounted victim, because there's so many other people that happened before 1999 or that we just don't find out about. So we don't want them to be forgotten, so that is represented as well. This is a free event. It is open to the whole community. We encourage people to come. We don't necessarily advertise it so much, because it's not like a fun event. We don't want people to say, oh, come to our silent witness, but we want people to know we're having it. We want people to know what it is, and we really encourage the public to come, because I will tell you that this is the most important thing that we do all year long. This is the one thing we're trying to stop, is to have any more. We can't have any less, but we don't want to have any more. If we could do that, that's kind of our goal, is to keep it where it's at. We have people in our safe house. As I said before, we have probably 55 to 60 people there right now. We could have up to 70. We ask volunteers to provide dinner for the residents in our safe house. We used to have people come and cook, kind of like in a pre-COVID world, but with so many things going on now and us having so many more people there, we'd rather not have people in our kitchen cooking, because that takes up our kitchen for 3 hours or so. But if you are part of a group that likes to cook, and you could cook at your house and bring food, if you could cook at your church and all get together, or each person bring one item, we're always looking for groups to provide dinner. Sometimes people get together and order pizza. We work with Wine Missing Restaurant and Bakery and Picasa Su Casa. Both of them offer a deal with, we could order food, a meal from them for $8 a person delivered. So we usually say we need food for 35 to 40 people. Even though we have more than that there, some are infants, some are not there because they might work second shift, whatever it is. So we usually get between 35 and 40 people. If we're to order food for 35 people at Wine Missing or Picasa, it's $280. So if you have, 10 people that can each give $28, you could provide dinner. So that is always something we have a need for. We do have some churches that do it once a month or once a quarter. You can just do it once and be done with it. There's no obligation. You don't have to continue doing it. But we are always looking for more groups to provide dinner. And we also, people always say, what should we make or what can we cook? And I would just say, cook whatever you like to make. Whatever like is your specialty or your family tradition type thing, because we have so many different people living there. We don't want to give them the same food every single night. So whatever it is you guys, your specialty is, you can share it with them. As long as it's nothing like too spicy, you know, anything like that that's too ethnic that wouldn't get for the main audience, we are always looking for food to be delivered. Wish list. People are always asking us what we need. We are not taking used clothing. We don't take used clothing because we don't have the room for it. We don't have the volunteer manpower to keep it sorted and organized and figure out what it is we have and what we need. So we do try to keep a few clothing items of each size in case somebody comes in the middle of the night and they need clothes the next day. But we work very closely with New Journey Community Outreach, which is on South 6th Street. It's about 3 blocks from us. They are a clothing bank. If we need clothes, they will give us clothes that we can have in our donation room, or we could have one of our clients go there and get clothes. But what we really need are bed pillows, twin-size sheets, mattress protectors, baby items, deodorant, toothbrush, sweatpants, t-shirts, hoodies, all new stuff, but just all different sizes again. So if somebody comes and they need clothing, it's just more comfortable clothing for them. We're always looking for gift cards. As Amanda said, not everybody we serve lives with us. We serve people in the community as well. Maybe they have a job, maybe they need a gas card because, you know, they don't have access to their bank account and they still need to get their job, or they just started a new job and they need a uniform, or their child needs something for school. So Walmart gift cards, Amazon, Visa gift cards, any of that stuff is always helpful. Over-the-counter cough and cold, that's just always happening. Seasonal allergies. When people come to us, we give them a bed to sleep in. So we are always, again, looking for bed, twin-size pillow, twin-size sheets, blanket, towels. So we give them a whole bag of this stuff, and they keep it. So they get to keep the bag, they keep all the items. If they leave, they take it with them, or at least we encourage them to take it with them. So that is always a need that we have. If you have a group that's willing to, you know, do some kind of collection or drive or make some of these what we call welcome bags, that is always something we have a need for. And then this is just our contact information. So we are available if anybody has questions. We can do it in, you know, a audience setting here. We'll also be around for a little bit if anybody wants to come to us afterwards.
Thank you.
Is there supposed to be a microphone for this?
I will, yeah. We've had a lot of conversation without it, so. But let's do that. If I can find out where to turn it on.
Do you have any laundry facilities, and who does the laundry? And
The survivors do their own laundry. We have laundry on each floor, so they have access to do laundry. We also have our staff that do laundry, like towels and rags and all that kind of stuff. But we provide laundry. They don't have to have quarters. They don't have to have detergent. We have like the sheets that are detergent, so that is available, provided for them.
So as some of my friends in this room can say, there's not a lot good to be said about getting old, but one of the things is that you see the evolution of organizations like, say, Berks. I remember it as People Against Rape and then Berks Women in Crisis. And as a member of the legal community, I have seen the organization come from a point where lawyers were a little suspect of you guys, to the point where you're highly respected and believed. Same is true of the medical community. Same is true of the justice community. I think the evolution of this organization is nothing short of miraculous, and you've done a phenomenal job, and I know you'll continue to do so for the next 50 years and then some.
Thank you. It's a shame that we have to be in business. We'd much rather not be in business, but we are here and we're here to help any survivor that needs our services.
Your location is public. So how do you keep survivors, and staff safe when they leave your building?
So we used to have a private location before we built our building, and then when we did a capital campaign, we were raising money, we were doing construction, and it was pretty obvious what was going on, so we decided to just embrace it. So we are at 3rd and Chestnut Street, 255 Chestnut. We do have our big logo in the front and the back of the building. If you've been in our building, we have double entry doors, so you need I was thinking, sorry, my ID, but we have one of those fobs that opens, lets the door open, and then once that door closes, then you usually open the other door. We have somebody that sits at our reception desk to let people in if they don't already have an access card. Also upstairs, they can let people in. We have emergency call buttons to the police, to the fire, to the ambulance in case any of our staff feel like they're in danger or something's going on. They can get emergency contacts to the police, and they're there very quickly. We have a very good relationship with the Reading Police where they drive around, and if we feel that something's going on that we need additional security, we will reach out to them. Most people will not stand in our parking lot and knock on the doors and scream and yell. Doesn't mean nobody will, but most won't because they know that we have cameras and we have police. But if we ever do get a situation where somebody is on our property and they won't leave, or we feel like there's a danger, we, again, will reach out to the police. We will also alert all of our staff, this person with their picture of them, or this is what they're wearing, don't let them in, or, just be careful and all that kind of stuff. So we're just very more alert. We communicate with each other so we know what's going on, and we have a very good relationship with the police.
I did want to say one thing about one of the statements you had on a slide about the misuse of scripture. Actually, Hebrew and Christian scriptures both have a number of passages that contribute to men thinking that women are inferior, which of course leads to this part of this. And so those of us in the faith community, we have to have enough knowledge and courage to be able to say, no, those are written by men to control women. It's not God doing that. And you don't have to swallow it all. You don't have to reject it all. There are ways to understand that. But we are complicit in this problem, and we have to, own that. Are there any others?
While he makes his way up there, I also want to say I had to work the front desk. One time the front desk worker was off, and I had to sit at the front desk, and I did not let anybody in. Like, if I don't know people because I knew, but like somebody that if someone who was staying at the shelter didn't have their badge to come in, and they were ringing that doorbell at the front, I'm like, what do you need? Hello, can I help you? And like I was not letting anybody in, so.
First off, thanks for your service. I was in a 12-year abusive relationship, so it hits home with me. But I have a question. We have an organization out in Third of us providing hope. And so we're always out in the community, and we do our own food giveaway. And a lot of times we send out a resource list, and we do have Safe Berks on there. But a lot of the females I talk to that are in an abusive relationship, they say like, in order to go to Safe Berks, one, you have to have a PFA, or two, that like Safe Berks is full. If these guys are full, do you have somewhere else that you can direct them to, or turn people away?
So first with the PFA, you do not need to file a PFA. We can help you if you want to, but you do not have to. A lot of times people do ask us that, and a lot of times people do not want to file a PFA for whatever reason. So that is not true. Correct, they don't have to. And then as far as if we're full, which sometimes we are, we try to get other resources available. Sometimes local hotels, sometimes we say to somebody, do you have a family member or friend that you can stay with for a night or two? We try to work it on our end. We've had people sleep on our couch. We have cots, which is why we're building 6 new bedrooms right now. But if somebody is in a situation where they are not safe, we will do what we need to do. So we work with different resources, and our advocates, our crisis workers will figure out what we can do, but we do make sure somebody's safe. Sometimes somebody wants to come to us, but they might have a family member or a resource that we might say, like, that might be a better choice for a day or two until Thursday, or whatever it is. But we will work with them, and we do not want anybody to be in an unsafe situation.
Any more questions or comments before we turn this back over to Harry?
So as Sandra was saying, we have the organization, we help out people in need. So mostly food, material items, but like I said, we also refer people to St. Berks, other places, other resources. I think the biggest problem is the resources for women. It's so little and few between. And unfortunately, a lot of women don't have anywhere to go. Some of the other resources they just don't feel safe with. So me, my personal experience is in childhood, I was abused. And unfortunately, we imitate what we've seen. So through life, I became the abuser. And that's part of our organization is getting out there and talking to people, because unless people like me who've been an abuser can talk about that to somebody who might be an abuser or somebody that's being abused. So helping people out with material items is one thing, but like you said, is hearing people, listening to them, basically them being heard. So that's what we try to do. But like I said, I think the hardest thing is, the biggest thing is there's just not enough resources, especially for the women out there. So
thank you for sharing. That's very brave of you to share. We've had flyers, I think, from your group, and that we pass out, and we'll let our clients know, like, this is available, whether they're living with us or not. But I know we've had flyers, and I know that some of our staff have talked about going there and getting stuff, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mindy, thank you so much for this excellent presentation. Very informative, very helpful. And for those of you who are here, please encourage your friends to look online on YouTube. Eventually, this presentation will be available there as well. And we're very grateful for what you have done. It seems like every day I read in the paper that there is more and more issues of domestic violence and murders occurring across the country. And so what we're doing is important. And I hope sometime we will also address the other aspect of it. And you're providing protection, but we also need to take a look at prevention. And you mentioned the schools. There's more to it than that. There are people out there who really are in need of psychological help and guidance. And this is an important issue for the churches as well, and the synagogues as well. We talk about sanctuary. Actually, the idea of sanctuary goes back to Old Testament times when a person grabbing the horns of the altar was granted protection, and also in the Middle Ages, but that was primarily from legal issues, not from the kinds of things that we have today. Thank you so much for what you are doing in your presentation today. Just a reminder that we welcome your donations, and they are important to us for our incidental expenses. And also, if you're not on our mailing list and would like to be, please sign up on either end of this table here. Just a word about next season. We have a lineup here. I can tell you what's happening each month, but I can't give you the dates because we have to depend upon the DoubleTree to provide that. But in September, Steve Litch from Lancaster will talk about holy pilgrimage, hiking on Spain's Camino de Santiago, and this has to do with retreats as well. So that will be an important thing. In October, we will have a program on eco-agriculture and climate healing. In November, a program on atheism. Not that we're encouraging that, but we want to know about it. In January, Steve will talk about open and affirming and why it matters. In February, Jennifer Kuzit will talk about God's monsters. And in March, Rabbi Michelson will talk about being Jewish in an age of rising anti-Semitism. In April, program on Turning East, why Eastern religions, or interest in Eastern religions are increasing. I'll moderate that, and we hope to have some Eastern religion leaders here to speak to that. And in May, Connections work, Vanessa Starr providing re-entry for inmates and returning citizens. So we have an ambitious program next year. If you want to know more about that and you're not on our mailing list, please sign up. Thank you so much for your presence tonight, and thank you again, Mindy and Amanda, for being here.